What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you had an awesome weekend. I certainly did. It was busy, but it was really great. It was especially productive in the sense that I got some headway on the external life stuff that I've been talking about for the last, feels like 50 weeks, even though it's probably only been a small fraction of that, but it feels like forever, just how busy life has been. But despite that, I made some really good progress with that stuff, starting to see maybe some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know. It just, it's hard to predict these things. But even with that, I was able to get some really solid reading done, which makes me very, very happy. And I've gotten some really interesting things to talk about here over this past week. So let's get into it. First, I have completed Grand Conspiracy by Janie Wirtz. This is book 5 in the Wars of Light and Shadow, book 2 in the Alliance of Light arc, right? So the 5-book arc sort of right smack dab in the middle of this main 11-book series. This book, wow. Okay. So the past couple weeks while I was reading this, I had mentioned how it had picked up a lot of the groundwork that had been laid in Fugitive Prince, which was book 1 of that Alliance of Light arc. It picked up a lot of that groundwork, just kind of kept it going, right? Kept the ball rolling on those things. It let us get deeper insights into some of these other characters that have been in the story. We've been introduced to them. We've seen them through other people's eyes, but now we're getting some time in their perspective. We're starting to see more about them and their motivations and some of their history. We're seeing those families sort of expand, right? We're seeing more and more members of those families and of those the people in power in those nations and things like that. And that's just been awesome to see this world slowly build. That's one of the things I'm really appreciating the deeper I get into this series, is that Janie, she in book 1, Curse of the Mistwraith, she packed so much into there, and I think it was so well done in the sense that there is an unbelievable amount of information in there, but it's not overwhelming. It feels like it flows really, really nicely. But she laid the groundwork so well that she was able to, in book 2, expand just a little bit. And then in book 3, expand just a little bit. And then in book 4, expand just a little bit. And it's like this slow layering to where now there is so much going on. And there's so many characters. And well, I mean, relative to something like Malazan or Wheel of Time, there's not that many characters, right? But there's still a lot, right? There's a lot of characters, there's a lot of powers at play, there's a lot of machinations, a lot of different motivations, a lot of the history coming into play now. We're seeing so much stuff here. But it's so easy to follow because of the way that Janie is just slowly, she'll introduce something and then kind of let it simmer. And then we get into it later, right? And it's just this wonderful layered effect to the world building, to the characters, to everything that I'm really, really appreciating the deeper that I get into it. So I'm really liking that. What I'll say about Grand Conspiracy in particular, if you really enjoy the way that magic exists in this world and the different factions, we have the Fellowship sorcerers and we have the Coriani enchantresses. If you like reading about them, I was going to say if you like what they're doing, but you might not like everything that they're doing. That's kind of the point. But if you like reading about those two factions, you like seeing what's going on with their motivations in particular, you like seeing the different members and some of their individual motivations and what those individual characters want and need versus what the group as a whole wants and needs, maybe in opposition to, or maybe just sort of alongside or parallel to this other one and these other characters that are like, if you like all that stuff, there is so much in here for you. There is 2 or 3 scenes that are really, really prominent in my brain that feature characters from those groups that are just, oh man, it just smacks you in the face with what this is going to do to the world. There are some truly foundation shifting things that happen in this book, and it's just wild. It starts with a bang, and it really just, you get these moments of calm in between these moments of higher action. You get the deep, almost scary magic in the sense of how powerful it is and what's happening. We're seeing more and more the development of Lysair and Arathon and how they're changing and being changed by the story, by what they're going through, by the Curse of the Mistwraith from book 1, by just everything that they've had to deal with. We see them holding on to their convictions, yet slowly just shifting just these little bits, like they're being forced to budge just a hair to make these really, really hard decisions that are for the best, at least in their view, but yet their core is always intact, right? We know who they are as a person, and that's always staying there, and it seems like that's always going to stay. We'll see. We have, 6 more books in the series, so we'll see. But wow, it's just some of the best characters you're going to read. This is certainly my favorite magic that I've ever read in any story, and it's, oh man, the scale of this is it's crazy, man, because the scale is this big, but it's so easy to follow. It's wild. I don't know how she did it. Janny herself is a magician, and it's just yet another fantastic book in this series. This, as I always say, Wars of Light and Shadow has my heart and soul, and I implore you, if you haven't checked this out yet, please check it out. Please check it out. It's awesome, and you'll see the playlist that all of our Wars of Light and Shadow discussions have been on, our big group read-along discussions, alongside some of the other discussions that I've had on the series, and even just videos on my channel. They're all in a playlist on my channel, so you can go in and you can check all those out. You can get up to speed as you read a book. You can go watch those discussions and pick up on some other things and see some people talk about it. I'm really trying to make this place a community where this series can really flourish, because it's just that good, and it deserves all of the recognition and all the love and everything. So please, check this out. And then how about this artwork? I finally, by the way, figured out the scene with this cover art, which is just gorgeous. Isn't a good enough word. This is certainly my favorite cover so far. Probably my favorite cover of the whole series. And I found out what the scene is, and like so much else in this series, not what I expected. Not what I expected. Janny does so... It's just amazing how she plays with our expectations more than any other author that I've ever encountered. And it's just really cool. By the way, the ending of this is not something I ever would have anticipated at all. It makes perfect sense, but I never would have expected it, and it's even better for that. So, okay, that's it. That's all I got on Grand Conspiracy. Fantastic. We will have our big group discussion coming up soon. I don't know exactly when it will be yet. We don't have a date set just yet. We're running a little bit behind. There's been some stuff going on with various people in the group where we've had to kind of shift it a little bit, but it'll happen, right? It'll be there soon. Okay. After finishing Grand Conspiracy, I did have to immediately pick up Empire of the Damned, Book 2 in this trilogy by Jay Kristoff. Man, I loved Book 1. It was so much fun. It's some of the most fun I've had reading in quite some time. It's just the perfect vibe for this time of year. And Book 3 is coming out early November. I'm not going to be ready for it on release day. There's just no way. And in fact, the way that my life has sort of ended up here this fall, on top of the Sun Eater release, on top of that gala, that release party that's happening on the 15th, just with everything shaking up, right? November is, the whole thing here, late October through November, we get a new Malazan book, No Life Forsaken, on the 28th. The next week, we get Empire of the Dawn, Book 3 of this trilogy. The next week, we get Strength of the Few, sequel to Will of the Many. And then the next week, we get Shadows Upon Time to finish up Sun Eater. And so many people in the community are like, okay, how am I going to do all 4 of these? Or most people aren't reading that Malazan book, which is, I get it, right? It's the least mainstream popular of the 3, or of the 4, I should say. So it seems like most people are trying to do those 3 back to back, or at least 2 of them or something, right? They're trying to get as many of those as they can. I'm only going to get one. But that's okay. It is what it is. My plans were to hit No Life Forsaken at the end of this month and squeeze it in before we leave for the release party for Shadows Upon Time. But things have just slowed down enough. I'm just not going to be able to finish it. And it's really important to me to get to this one first, because I want to make sure I don't fall too far behind on this trilogy, so that I can still wrap that up hopefully in December is my goal. We'll see. And then hopefully I can squeeze No Life Forsaken in there either late November or December or something. That's my goal also. But again, who knows? I never would have thought that my reading would slow down as much as it has these past few weeks. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, top priority here next before I leave for the Sun Eater release party and be geared up to immediately jump into Shadows Upon Time, Empire of the Damned. So good to be back here in this world. I loved Book 1. And we're really picking up right where it left off. We get really the same structure as Book 1, at least so far, where we have some scenes where we're sort of present day, where Gabriel's being interviewed and telling us the story. And then we have those sort of past timelines where we're going through that story as Gabriel's telling it back to us in that interview memoir style. And we're literally picking up immediately, at least in the flashback stuff, right where we left off with Gabriel telling us the story there in book 1. And I think that's great. We got a quick little recap of some of those events, which was nice because a little bit was a tiny bit fuzzy for me. It's not been too long since I finished it, so I remember almost everything, but a couple little details were fuzzy. So it was nice to get a quick little, not heavy-handed recap of those events. And now we're off and running, right? And I can kind of see, at least early on, where the arc of this story is going to start. And I'm looking forward so much to getting back to this and just having a ball with it. And I really don't think that it's going to take me too long to get through this. I mean, they're like these books are like 700 pages. And yeah, it's like 700 pages. And I put an hour into it, and I'm like 10% of the way through it already. Like it's just, you move through these really, really quickly. At least I do, for whatever reason. And so that's nice. That's really nice. So we'll see how long it takes me, but certainly will be done. I'm making it non-negotiable. Promise to myself that this is done before I leave for North Carolina, because nothing will stop me from getting into Shadows Upon Time on day 1. Nothing, I say. Nothing. Okay. Empire of the Damned, so excited for this. This is the main thing here for this week that I will be working on as we make our way through towards Halloween. I might have less reading time. I don't know. We might try to watch some more Halloween movies or something, but we'll find out. I think we'll be fine. Book club update. We have officially selected our winner for our next book club pick. This will be read sometime November, December, right? So again, it's a bi-monthly book club just to give everybody more flexibility. I think that works great. It certainly helps me with my slower reading these days. That is temporary, for sure. I will get back to having my normal reading time, but for now, at least, a little bit less. So the extra flexibility is nice for me, but it seems to be nice for a lot of people, right? I've had a lot of people who have been involved that have kind of voiced that it's been nice to just have more room, more space. It's easier to kind of keep up with things. So this will be read sometime November, December. We'll have our big group discussion on it towards the end of December. We'll have to time that out with the holidays and stuff to make it work. So we'll figure that out as we get closer. But it'll be somewhere in that general realm. And of course, we'll be talking about it all the way through as people read. And we can have those discussions in the Discord. So by the way, if you want to get involved in the book club or in the Patreon in general, you can check out the description of this video if you get more details, where you can get your hands involved in the channel. We can vote on video topics. I have I'm currently getting input for the November patron video that I'll be putting together here relatively soon. So you can get involved with that stuff. You can, of course, get access to the private channels on the Discord. The Discord as a whole is free for everybody. You can see a link to that in the description, but you get some private channels if you subscribe to the Patreon. And in there, we have a bunch of stuff, but the big thing, right, is the video topic stuff and being involved in the channel more, and also this book club, right? So if you want to be involved in the book club, there you go. Week by week, we have gone through the voting process. We got a bunch of suggestions, and then we sort of whittled this down slowly but surely. We had a couple chances to vote something back in that had been knocked out of the game, which was really nice. 2 of those actually had been voted out, got back in. Both of them wound up making it to the final round, which is crazy and really cool, right? It just goes to show that something got a second chance, and people were excited enough about it that they just kept rolling with it, and there we go. It got to the end. So by the end of this past week, we had narrowed it down. The goal was to narrow it down to 3, but we had a tie for places 3 and 4. So I decided, let's just go with 4, right? Rather than doing a coin flip and whatever, let's just go with these 4. We had The Library of Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. We had Jade City by Fonda Lee. We had The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. And we had A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. Those were our top 4. When we went through the voting process here, it genuinely came down to the wire. This was so close between all 4 of them. And once again, we wound up with a tie between our top 2 choices. We had a tie, and I had to flip a coin. And it just so happens that our winner is A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. Book 1 of the Long Price Quartet, which I got to be honest, I'm pretty excited about, because I had heard about this series, man, a year ago, maybe more. I'd heard about this, and I was like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. I'll jot it down on my list somewhere. And it just kind of sat there. And then John from Talking Story was talking about how just incredible the series, and how it immediately came up into one of his favorites of all time. And he was just gushing and raving about this series. And I was like, oh, okay. I tend to like a lot of similar things that he does. I wonder, I need to bump this up my list a little bit. And then Sam from I Samwise read the series and was just, man, maybe even more singing the praises of it and talking about how it's some of the best fantasy out there, and some of like it just and I have a lot of overlap with Sam also, and I'm like, man, both of these guys who I tend to align with quite well, who I really respect their recommendations, they're both just saying like, this might be an all-time favorite. So I was like, okay, I got to get this up higher on the list. And it's just really cool to see it win, right? And just to be able to jump in and not just to be able to jump in and see what's going on with the series, but to read it along with everybody in the Patreon is just, that's going to be so fun. I had a blast going through A Drowned Kingdom with everybody, and so I can't wait for this. It's just going to be great. It's just going to be great. So I don't have a copy of the book yet. Obviously, it was literally just yesterday that I put the votes together and did the coin flip and found out who won. So we'll have to get a copy, and sometime here over the next couple months, we'll work that in and discuss it with everybody and just have the best time. So there we go with that. I don't have much to leave you with other than I did appear in a collaboration video. This is on Joanna's channel. Joanna Reads, the name of the channel, if you're not familiar somehow. And by the way, if you're not, go subscribe immediately. She's the best. She had myself and David from Four Corners of the Page try her journaling method. She has this journaling method that she has tweaked over time and has found it to be one of the best aspects of her reading journey. It's, she has a whole video describing this. So definitely go check that out and see what it's all about and see what she does. And it has just, she's talking about how it's helped her so much with getting more out of the reading experience, understanding the books more, understanding herself more from reading the book, remembering more when she goes to have discussions, being able to look back and see, maybe it's been months or years even since you read a book, and now a new book's coming out. You can go back and not just see a recap of the events of the book, which you can find online in many places, right? In a lot of cases, but she could see her emotional responses to the book and some of the big things that jumped out to her while she was reading it. Like, man, this is awesome. And she asked David and I to give this a shot. And so we were like, yeah, we would love to, right? So we all did this journaling method every day for a month, and then got together and had this video discussion on her channel about it. And it was so fun. I think that I got so much out of trying this journal method, and I think I got even more from doing the discussion with those two afterwards. And it's really one of those things that I genuinely, it's hard to find things that are really helpful and fun, but also don't take a ton of time and energy. It's hard to triangulate all of those things, but I think this really does it. I think this does a fantastic job. And, I've in the past done various different methods of like taking notes on books and stuff. And I think, and I'm not just saying this, I genuinely think this is the best one because it simplifies a lot of things. It picks out the most important bits and just helps, it just smooths out everything. So right now things have been so crazy and busy that I just haven't had the time to do it. So I have kind of paused personally on doing this journaling method, but I do genuinely look forward to getting back to it when I have a little bit more time and mental bandwidth that opens back up, because it really, really enhanced my reading experience. And I would highly recommend all of you give it a shot. And if you don't like it, that's fine, right? You don't have to do it, right? But I think it's super worth giving it a shot. And I highly recommend that all you guys check this out and give it a shot, because you never know, it might completely revolutionize your reading. You might get so much more out of it. You might not vibe with it really well, and that's okay. You don't have to do it, right? But you never know. You might be incredible. So give it a shot. That's all I got, though. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for bearing with me while my content's been a little bit slower on these reading updates. It's just taking me so long to get through some of these big books now, but it will pick back up. It will. I have complete faith that I'll get through this busy season of life here, and we'll be good. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to me in the comments. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. You can hit subscribe if you want to. If you want to join the community, always love that. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.